Well, here we are, the first Media Mementos video of all time, and already it hurts. Listen to my voice. Look at this editing. No. I don't ever want to remake this one, partially because it's a review, and as many of you know, I don't do those anymore. But also, it's part of Media Mementos history, you know? Still though, this is the one that started it all. And I bet you're wondering, how did this come to be? How was I able to take my first step into becoming the, I don't know, semi-popular channel that I am now? Well, it's funny you ask because that's kind of why I'm here. So, I was listening to an episode of TV Trash, from Rowdy C. Just so happens to be one of my favorite content creators, don't judge me. And as you can expect, that episode was about Baby Blues, the TV show. And he was saying, yeah, it's alright on its own, but it's just a terrible adaptation and it's a slap in the face to the original comic. And it got me thinking, how bad could it possibly be? Contrary to what the comment section of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the superior version might tell you, I actually consider bad adaptations to work on their own right if they do their own thing. And I mention as such here. Basically, in short, if it does its own thing and deviates enough from the source material, I can cut it some slack. But if it's like Willy Wonka and it just kind of goes halfway, no. Then you got an Aragon situation, and let's face it, you don't want to be like Aragon. But anyways, back to the story. I decided to check the show out for myself, thinking it might actually be okay. And, long story short, I watched an episode, and I haven't stopped watching it since. I think it's a pretty darn good show. In fact, for those of you who don't know, one of my main hobbies is collecting old VHS recordings of days gone by, from, ABC, NBC, Adult Swim, the WB. And some of my favorites have Baby Blues on them, and yes, I get it, it's a slap in the face to the comic strip, yeah. I still like it, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't say it's like the best thing ever, or the greatest comedy of all time, but it's good. I'm definitely in the camp that says, this shouldn't have been Baby Blues, and if it wasn't Baby Blues, it might have lasted a little while. And I thought that when I first saw the show, and I thought to myself, this might be a really interesting show to talk about on my old review show, TV Talks. TV Talks was this thing I had back on my old channel, TAS Productions. The less said about it, the better. It was really just me standing in front of a microphone, sometimes editing what I say. It wasn't entertaining or anything of the sort. And I was getting pretty tired of making the show towards the end, to the point where the final episode of TV Talks, I believe it was Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, it wasn't even intended to be the finale, nor did I announce it as such ever. But that's just what happened. I stopped doing it, never looked back. Then later that summer, I was thinking, I've always wanted to do reviews. I've always been an opinionated person who feels that he should have the platform to say what he thinks. But it's not gonna be able to work if I just do something lame like TV Talks. Why don't I up the production value, actually have a script this time, and make something bigger than I've ever made before? And wouldn't you know it, the end result became Baby Blues, Brilliant, or Betrayal. Of course, from the get-go, I intended on doing more of these. Such more would include Sweet Pea Beauty's Unadulterated Ugliness, or whatever it's called. The ITV Digital episode, what's it called? The Good, the Bad, and the Monkey. Story of Volcanicity, things like that. Many of those were planned either from the beginning or very soon after Baby Blues, Brilliant, or Betrayal officially hit YouTube. The reception was mostly positive, people saying, of course, that it was a vast improvement than from what I've made before, but of course, as many of you who've seen the video How Whacked Saved Media Mementos would know, as time went on, as I began to make more and more of these videos, people became, I guess you could say, indifferent, although it seems like what was really going on was the other show, VeggieTales Abridged, was all anyone really cared about. So I knew that if I kept these videos on the old TAS Productions channel, they would all die. There would be nowhere left to go. Which means, of course, if they just stayed around, I would only be able to make a couple of these, and then the interest would fizzle out, and so would my interest. So the only thing left to do was to put them on a channel of their own, and the rest, as they say, was history. But now I'm gonna say something that I don't think I've ever said before. Ever, really. I was gonna say just on this channel, but no, I don't even think I've said this in private. I actually kind of regret making Media Mementos a channel all on its own. Now, of course, I know that was the only actual option, so the regret isn't full, but there's a small part of me that wishes that I just stuck it out, got rid of the VeggieTales content once it's, done and over with, kept the content going on my channel, TAS Productions, and just stuck with it, because now, TAS Productions is just a content graveyard. I tried bringing a couple things in there to help revitalize it and keep it going, but nothing ever seems to stick. Whether it's because YouTube doesn't like it, actors bail, or some other third thing happens, that can be hard to say. It really depends on the situation. But the point being is that I just kind of abandoned one channel for the sake of the other. Maybe I wouldn't be feeling it quite this strongly if TAS Productions hadn't been with me since I was in, 7th, 8th grade or something. It was a big part of who I used to be, and it stuck around with my life all the way up until junior year. Then once Media Mementos became its own thing and the Media Mementos content, which at the time did not have a proper name, once that left TAS Productions, and then the main series there, once VeggieTales Abridged ended, Standard Misadventures, now known as Dorland Misadventures, was unable to continue, the channel just kind of died. I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little overly sentimental, and like I said, having the videos moved to Media Mementos was clearly the only option to get better with my writing, my speech, my delivery. So yeah, I guess make of that what you will. And as for the video itself, I stand by just about everything I say here. Again, it's just hard to listen to and hard to look at. Keep in mind, I hate editing. I always have. It's just tedious and boring, and I don't know. That's why whenever I got the chance, I would delegate to someone else. That's one of the reasons why I jumped at the chance to share this channel with Billy HL for the longest time. Boy, those were some great days. Speaking of Billy HL, he doesn't really care about Baby Blues, so we don't talk about this one all too much. Of course, back in the day, we would always revere Baby Blues' Brilliant or Betrayal purely because it was the first one in the Media Mementos lineup. Without this, there wouldn't be any El Super Beasto, Charlie's the Superior Version, or even, hey, more abstract things like moral oral narcissism even. So I guess you could thank, speaking of videos that this spawned, I kind of like to semi-joke with my editors, sometimes they bring it up too, that I'm kind of the one who started the moral oral snowball here. Like, I made that one video, that dark episode of Moral Oral that got it canceled or whatever, and then that blew up and I made a couple character quests, and then a couple months later, everyone's making Moral Oral videos, so yeah, I don't know how serious you can take that or how right we are, but in some ways, what can I say except you're welcome? There, that's the one song I know from Moana, so I made all the Moana references I can. What does Moana have to do with Baby Blue's Brilliant or Betrayal? I'm glad you asked. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But like I was saying, Billy and I used to revere this one as the pilot, and that's kind of it. I'm probably not going to do a commentary on the other Baby Blues video I did, the Season 2 one. I definitely will for Versus the Network, because I have a lot more to say about that one. But in terms of Baby Blues Season 2, the only thing I have to say about that one, aside from Billy not liking it because he said it was pointless, well, every time he mentions that, I always come back with a trump card saying that about a 6-month to 9-month span later, I found out that everything I said in the Season 2 video was 100% right. All of those theories turned out to be true. Which was kind of amazing. I actually didn't think that they were going to be that based in fact. But yeah, well, we'll never see Season 2. That really sucks. But at the same time, there's nothing you can really do. I hope it would have been as good as Season 1, and even then, like I said, Season 1's not like the greatest thing ever, but I definitely recommend that people give it a shot. It's witty, although not all the time. The characters are likable for the most part, though as many people do say, the Bittermans steal the show. It's their show, and it really should just be about them. I get that the heart is with Daryl and Wanda, but come on, the writers cared most about the Bittermans, the audience cared most about the Bittermans. I think that if this was an original show, again, not based on Baby Blues whatsoever, and this actually lasted more than one season that was aired on TV, I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of had a Simpsons situation where instead of focusing on Bart, they changed to Homer later on. I feel like Baby Blues would have gone through the same thing. Now, it wouldn't exactly be a total switch to the Bittermans, I don't think, but I think that the McPhersons and the Bittermans, they would be sharing the spotlight rather than the episodes pretending that they're about the McPhersons, but then, of course, the Bittermans just usurping them at least like a third of the way through. That's how it usually goes, and to be fair, there where all the jokes come from, so I'm not really complaining here. But yeah, I've had those opinions for quite a while, and I had them pent up for a couple months when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with Baby Blues Brilliant or Betrayal, and nothing was gonna stop me from making this thing come out. Not even my editing software permanently dying on me, never to recover. I edited this on my old clunky laptop that had Sony Vegas. Yes, that's how outdated the software was. It was actually still called Sony Vegas. That thing was slow, it didn't like to work properly, and then, as I was editing the video, everything just died. Like, I could no longer see a video preview of what I was doing unless I pushed a certain key command, but as soon as I touched the timeline, it would go away. And to this day, it's still not better. That's the laptop I used all the way until, what was it? Yeah, back at the Barnyard versus the Network. I had to make do with that, granted, the few editing times I've done since, all the way up until then. And let me tell you, my editing skills, they're still not the best. They're way better than what's seen here. But yeah, if I have the choice to delegate or do it myself, partially because I hate editing and also partially because I barely have enough time to manage some of the channels sometimes because I've got a very, very busy personal life, yeah, I kind of have to rely on the team. Now, of course, I don't want to make it seem like, oh yeah, no, I just don't have time for Media Mementos anymore, I'm gonna quit. No, I try to make as much time for this channel as I can, and when I get the chance, I like to mix in with some of the folks on Discord, say hi, even if it's not as often as I'd like. But yeah, with a 9 to 5 and all these other responsibilities I got, especially with me changing industries once again coming up here soon. And that's gonna require even more of my time. Well, anyways, that's not what you care about. You care about this. But unfortunately with this, it's over. So I'll see you guys next week. And I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. I think I have a good idea, but you'll just have to wait.